Okay, guys, 13 weeks, 3 million points and over, thousands of games by thousands of gamers. This is the end. There's been over 1 million views on your battle reports. This is where we're going to discuss the final results. So remember, we have the live map. This is what is currently there. During the course of this, we're going to be discussing those live results, but also telling you what the AI historians thought and how that might change things. Before we go into each theatre in some detail, I first want to say a special thank you to all of the faction liaisons. Early on in the campaign, you guys nominated a faction liaison who would come and work with us behind the scenes to help us communicate to you guys things that were happening, field questions, and just generally keep an eye on what was going on so that we didn't have to be intruding in your spaces in the faction briefing rooms. Those liaisons worked with us almost daily, kept logging into our systems behind the scenes, and were able to communicate back to you guys just things that were happening and everything else. So we have a special gift for the faction liaisons. Yeah?
Yes. Hello, Warren.
Nice this is Carlos, by the way, and this is Justin.
Yeah. Nice to be here. Yes, we will have a detail. I'm not telling what, not showing off doesn't seem appropriate, but all the time investment that they have in this campaign for those liaisons will be rewarded by Covus Belli, of course.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell them what that is? Because it was a very exclusive little thing.
Well, I have a bag full of Gulam HMG a never released miniature of a Gulam with HMG. We have a few copies of those, so yes, all liaisons will get a copy of that.
Okay, guys, get in touch with us. You know how to, the liaisons. You have access to our behind the scenes system to get in contact with us. Get us some addresses. And that, as exclusive a mini as you're ever likely to get, will be on its way. Right, let's get into the meat of this. So first things first, we're going to be having a look at Agog. We're not doing these in any particular order other than a bit alphabetical, but the exciting stuff happens a little bit further on. So we're going to, how do we pronounce this? Is it Agogi, Agog?
Well, I don't know. It's a Greek word, so agoge. Let's say that. Like
agoge. Okay, agoge. Right. So let's have a look at the page for Agoge. You're going to have to bear with us because we have a lot of data, so we're going to be running through it. So here we have Agoge, and we can see the kind of the points scored per faction. It was a theater that unlocked later in the campaign.
Because this was a later unlocked theater, doesn't have all the activity that the beginning theaters have.
So first thing we want to talk about is Carlos has been working through looking at some of the reports and things like that, and we just want to pick some of our highlights. So the best report that we feel, it's was called "Damn Stupid Jungle Luck" by Terror. So let's have a browse through this. And Carlos, was there an epic moment in this you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I would like to highlight this user, Terror, a Hacky Slam player, because he made the most awesome battle reports. I mean, look at that. He photoshopped all the photos that he took during the battle and made effects, lay out the whole thing like in a comic book. Mm-hmm. That time investment is humbling, really. I mean, this guy deserves a reward from Covus Belli because I saw that he reported tons of reports and all with this level of
detail
is amazing. Thank you very much.
This is exactly why we built this system, is because we wanted to empower you guys to be able to do that. So
really, I've seen the most impressive battle reports. The epic moment of Damn Stupid Jungle Luck was that Achilles, which is a super badass and indestructible troop, was burned down to ashes by a heavy flamethrower of a Magariba guard. And we all know that a Magariba guard is piloted by a lovely woman with curly hair. So finally Achilles got silenced by a woman, as they say in the battle report. Achievement unlocked.
Okay, so Terror, this is your profile, just to give it a quick show off.
Yeah, he was fighting Silver Tongue, an Aleph player in this battle.
Yeah, we can also see that he's spread out between Sagres, Tianjian, and Onza, and a little bit in Antella there. So you didn't just focus in on the one theater, which was good. It was nice to see you spread around. We have a prize for him, yeah?
Yeah, we will have a prize.
Okay, so Terror get in touch because you're gonna get a prize. For any of you guys who we say during this that you've won a prize, come across to beastsofwar.com, go up to the contact menu at the very top, over there I think it is,
Top
and
right.
then there you'll see an option for claim a prize. Okay, and just tell us that you were a prize winner and your address and details and stuff like that. We'll pass that off to Carlos and the guys at Covus Belli, and they will send you something nice.
I will say that this is a special prize for the incredible quality of Terror battle reports.
Yeah, so Terror, get in touch. And we had another battle report we wanted to look at in Agoge, and this one was called Cold Sleep.
By Cryptonomicon and a left player who was fighting against AB Dog from Ariadna.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Achilles' epic moment, once again, he got in close combat with a Devil Dog, with his antipode and an Imandinho, and he survived all the situation. But, well, it's not such epic, because Achilles, is a badass. He can handle everything.
Okay, right. Finally, we have another prize winner to announce.
Yeah, Held the Line, is the when you conquer.
Held the Line, right? Held the Line and Stormed the Gates were two very special kinds of achievements.
Mm-hmm.
In that they were achievements that just happened to happen at the right time in the right circumstances. So Held the Line was whenever you were able to defend Agoge, you were in the lead, you played a battle against the right opponent at the right time to stop Agoge from actually changing hands.
A decisive battle, really. And
so it was decisive, yeah.
Josh Dumont and a left player made the achievement of Held the Line.
Yeah.
So at some point he defended the Agoge center, avoiding it to be conquered by any other faction, and he made it.
Okay, so James, you are a winner. You're going to get a prize. Please get in contact with us, okay? Okay, right. Let's talk about the charts then, okay? So let's look at the original kind of results for Agoge. So this is, you can see that the combined army and
Aleph and Ariadna were the guys fighting more for this position here.
So this is what it would look like from the live perspective before the AI historians got involved.
We have to explain what is the historians.
Yes, I think we do. Right. So
okay, get ready, guys.
Right. So whenever we launched this whole system, we knew full well that there would be people who would like to muck around with the system and just put in reports that were generally had nothing
feeding
to
results.
Yeah, nothing to suggest that those battles actually took place. So from the outset, we always had this idea that, look, if we just wanted this to be a system where you just entered results, we would have made it a system where you just entered results. But the focus of the Flamestrike campaign was on giving you the tools to create great battle reports that people could come in, look at, rate, give you commendations for, and enjoy. So the AI historians were our take on, well, as war rages, there's always going to be propaganda, lies, misinformation, and all these things all take place.
And also the sad heroic moments that never make it into history, because there are a lot of heroes that are ignored by history, really.
So what we wanted to do was we wanted to say, okay, we know that stuff, no matter what we do, we know that stuff is going to be there in the system. And most wars are, of course, written by the victors, but they're also written by the historians who have the opportunity to then go through after the fact and decide what is the likelihood that this took place. And that was our remit. On the balance of probability, looking at this battle report, what was the likelihood that it actually happened? Not how well was it written or how Shakespearean it was. It was on the balance of probability. How likely did it actually take place? So we created a series of filters that ran at the end of the campaign.
Totally approved by Covus Belli.
That went through and tried to work out these probabilities. So those with the appropriate numbers of photographs or more, along with the appropriate amount of text or more, along with the ratings that other players gave it, and along with its number of commendations, a whole circle of data and points that we decided was the optimum way to decide whether a battle had actually taken place or not. So, what you're about to see during the rest of this video is the results of that. Now, another thing that we did with the AI historians is the initial starting points were ignored.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the campaign, remember, some positions were already assigned to certain factions by giving them an extra points there. Those were removed because at the beginning, I remember that Yu Qing had like 50 points already in Surong, for example. Those are being removed. So we are going here from the total results to the real results, to the real deal.
So this is based on actual battles you fought, okay?
And you will surprise by how many reports get down after applying the filters. How many spam was there really?
Yeah. Okay, so let me bring this up. So this is what we saw live during the battle. Okay, now let's see what the AI historians made of that.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
So let's flick between the two. Okay. So it was all a story about Ariadne and Aleph. Okay. So you can see here that it looked like it was quite a fierce battle and changing hands quite a lot. But the reality, once we started to filter out those battles that we couldn't really say happened or not, was it looked like a big propaganda campaign from Aleph.
So are you telling me, Warren, are you telling me that some people may have, I don't know, report spam reports or even influence the data of the campaign to try to put their faction over other factions? Is this really happening?
Dun, dun, dun. Well, this is the thing. At the end of the day, any faction who is going for results over the results that has the evidence there to suggest that it actually happens, is taking a risk. There are strategies of why you might want to do this, but if you did this early on in the campaign, for example, okay, and it managed to dishearten the other factions, and then you started to come in with more detailed reports after that, when the other factions are already totally disheartened and have started to leave that area. There is a viable strategy potentially in doing that.
I don't like that idea.
Well,
and I will tell you why I don't like that idea. Because if all of a sudden your entire faction thinks, "Oh, we're safe here. We've got this."
Yes,
they won't fight hard there.
Your circle of command needs to find ways of being able to, I don't know, suggest to your players how
I
to
am
do
also
it,
not agree. We should have been warned about the specifics of the system so we can trick it. But sorry.
Yeah, there's another valued point in there. Some people were wondering why we didn't go into detail on exactly how all these measurements were going to work. Those same people also complained about people who were cheating the system. Imagine if we had told you, they would have been able to cheat it much, much better. So, the result didn't actually change. So if you go back to the AI historian,
the winner is still Ariadne.
The winner is still Ariadne. So that was the live result.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to the
final
so this
result.
Is our final result. So
and we're seeing that Ariadne had a bigger victory here, but victory.
So Ariadne, you were much stronger here than what it looked like. Okay, so that is Agogi. Let's move on to Aranda. So Aranda is here. Okay, so let's bring up Aranda.
Yeah, Aranda was also an unlocked scenario at some point of the campaign.
Yeah.
It is supposed to be by fluff a nomad position, okay, but once it was unlocked, players got into it. In fact, it was unlocked before all the rest of the unlocked scenarios.
Aranda locked around the midpoint of the campaign itself. So. Let's say you have a couple of reports that you just want to highlight.
Yeah, well, I like the friendly encounter by Nasrod with nomads fighting against Garrath from Yu Qing. Yu Qing number 1. And well, this they have quality photos and a very good narrative in the text.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
a
also,
well done report. this.
Yeah, I went through a lot of reports. They obviously have a good time.
Handsome guys.
Yeah, lovely.
Lovely
I have to
looking
respect
guys,
the
I've
beard
got to
game.
say. It's very good looking fellows.
But
so.
if you go to the last image of the report, that will be the epic moment, really.
Oh, there we go.
Well,
keep going, keep going. This is
going.
one that I particularly like.
Yeah, totally. You can see that coming. Yeah, there you can see there are 4 orders. An intruder with multi-spectral visor shoots against a Dao Fei lieutenant. This is like having the natural predator of a particular unit and having 4 orders to spend in killing it. And he just made 1 wound, which is not enough, and all the other rolls were contested by the Dao Fei with critical dodges for 3 in a row. So this guy was rolling a 14 and then rolling another 14 and then rolling another 14. So I can imagine the level of frustration and the level of, from the Yuchin player.
I can imagine that honey Jack Daniels was hit after this
That
one.
Dao Fei probably was like Neo dodging bullets in the Matrix.
And then the guy who actually did that was
Nazaroth. So
Nazaroth.
this is
And
his
Garrath was the
profile
Yuchin
here.
player.
So if we
rolling dice.
scroll down to Nazaroth really focused in on Zurong.
Yeah.
And did a little bit at Tianjian, which is the two areas where the nomads ultimately had their most epic battles, to be honest. So. Okay, we have another report we want to talk about.
I also like to highlight Unstoppable, battle report by Graviton, who play with the Combined Army and fight against Solar of the Nomads. Epic moment that I got the impression from his battle report is that at some point Luke Balboa killed an Umbra Samaritan, which is a pretty badass troop, with a devastating blast from her Panzerfaust. That will be really pretty awesome, really.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Well, Aranda didn't have any of the special achievements unlocked in terms of hold the line or storm the gate. So let's have a look at the results for Aranda. So if you can bring up the live results there first for us, Justin.
I believe.
Okay, so here we have it. As you can see, Combined Army started with a little bit of a lead in this one.
Yeah.
And what was interesting to see was that Pan-Oceania really took to this particular theater. And you can see Pan-Oceania getting involved in the campaign and the fighting very early on before Combined Army actually woke up, which was surprising. It was like Combined were sitting there almost like they were asleep until this point, whenever,
they're getting
Pan-Oceania are getting close. And
Let's keep our advantage.
And you can see here that ultimately you did it too late. If you had got in earlier, you might have been able to dishearten the Pan-Oceania players. But that's based on the live results. Let's see, once we've taken everything away and put the AI historians in place, what actually happened. So, once you actually had the lead that was gifted to you taken out of the equation, you can see here, again, how early Pan-Oceania got stuck in and started to fight tooth and nail for that theater. You can then see the point where the Combined Army kicked in, but look at the end. Look at the end. Combined Army gave up. That flatlining is a sign of a faction. Well, the top faction realized we have this in the bag, but you can see that Combined gave up just around the same time.
It's a good example of how the theater ends up when you get out the initial points that they were given to as a free bonus, So suddenly the truth is that Pano, in the true history of what happened with the players involved in the campaign, really got the lead and never lost it.
However, no change of control from what we were seeing in the live system. Okay, next up we have Antella. So Antella, we're just about here on them. If you go back to the original map there, Justin, so Camp Antella, it's up here just around the lake.
The Lake Antella.
The Lake
the name.
Antella. Okay, so if you go back now to the thing, so this is Camp Antella. We can see a lot of battles at the start of the campaign. Then started to tail off as other areas became more contested.
This was a tough one during the campaign. Camp Antella was between Ariadna and Pano. I would like to highlight the No Morats report by Steve Rogers with Ariadna against Shadlers with Combined Army. Shadlers is Tom Shader from Mayacast, a great guy.
Hi, Tom.
Yeah, hello,
Beautiful
Tom.
table.
Isn't it lovely?
Yeah, and it's pretty fitting the fluff very much because it's an Ariadna camp, so
Yeah.
a boot camp. So the big moment here was that it's pretty epic for both of players. A Foxtrot was able to strike a direct hit with his telemetry device onto a Suriat. The Katyusha shoot guided fire then, but the Suriat fire team was able to dodge out of harm's way. Knowing that he was the one targeted, the Suriat with heavy rocket launcher ran from his brethren. As the Suriat moved away, shot after shot landed in his wake, but failing to find a weakness in his armor. Luckily, with the Suriat rooted from position, a grounded sniper caught him in her sights and ended the alien's day. So both maneuvers from Ariadna, with guided the Katyusha Foxtrot forward observer, excellent maneuver, and also the aliens, the Suriat who knew that he was targeted, ran away from his comrades to die alone. So pretty heroic, in my opinion. Really.
Don't worry, lads. I've got this.
So in many ways, he drew the fire away.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's
So-
what happened.
Cool. Very cool.
Okay, we have another report we want to talk
Yeah.
about. This is called Not So Friendly Fire, and again by Terror.
Terror, that guy who made awesome reports against Tax, a Pan-Oceania player. Epic moment, in my opinion. KTS Kaplan with the speed was able to put down a drone bot bulleteer, which is a difficult piece to kill,
Yeah.
and a whole fire team. So that was
Wow.
what would be a massacre. Yeah, because the weather report is lovely. I would recommend to really check the terror reports in the Flamestrike website because they're, as you can see here, they're worth a minute from you. Because this was a very disputed theater, we have held the line and stormed the gates
Yeah.
achievements here.
So if we just bring up the
Live results.
the live results, okay, you can see a lot of dispute here early on. Okay, so based on the live results, so held the line. Okay, we have two commanders who managed to hold the line, and that was Frostfire from Pan-Oceania and Sebelkang from Ariadna. Guys, remember to get in touch, you two, via the Contact Us form. Okay, and then finally stormed the gates. We had a Pan-Oceania player who managed to storm the gates.
A classic veteran from Infinity, Amao Esquera from Pano, this storm at the gates.
Nice one, nice one. Okay, let's go back to the map, or back. Sorry, not to the map, to the actual charts. Okay,
That's the live results.
so we can see that it was primarily contested between Pan-Oceania and Ariadna. The battle was raging, started to tail off a bit as they started to kind of secure their locations. Right, let's see what the AI historians made of this, though.
No big change. No
big change at all.
Pretty true to the
stand-up
real
fight.
results.
Yeah, so it looks like Antella really was. If you were monitoring and watching Antella closely, what you were seeing during the battle was a fairly good representation of what actually was taking place.
Yeah, it was
in
mostly
that
at the
theater.
beginning of the campaign, and it was pretty intense, right?
Okay, let's move on to Scallion. Okay, so Scallion is Mount Scallion here.
Mount Scallion is a defensive position of Pano in the south of the island, really. They have their real anti-aerial batteries there.
Okay, so Scallion, you can see, opened up and then had a few battles fought over it.
It was one of the late unlocked scenarios. It was by right a Pano theater. I would like to highlight the infiltrators everywhere battle report by Luis Joey, a Pano player that was fighting Harun al-Rashid. Obviously, what that name is has to be a Hacky Slam player. I guess that these guys are Spanish players, by the way.
Yep.
Epic moment for me after reading this awesome battle report. Joan of Arc in frenzy state killed an enemy assassin Farsang in a crucial position in the table, cleaning that area and scoring points for Pano. But while doing it, with his last breath, she was also shot to death by another assassin, Rajik. So this is like, with her last movement, delivering victory to his army, Joan of Arc,
Okay, we have another report we want to talk about. It was Operation Raven, Faith Triumphs Over Honor, by Leo from Pan-Oceania versus Chundini from Yuxing. So let's bring that one up.
Right.
Carlos, Do you want to tell us the standout moment from this report?
The epic moment, in my opinion, after reading all the report, a Hospitalier Knight that the Pano player gave a name, Brave Brother Oton, gave his life while defeating a whole fire team of Haramaki Sensen Butai, clearing the path for Gabriel I to take victory. That guy was holding an HMG and the fire team enemy was in a breach and he was able to defeat them with missiles, with everything. So pretty epic, in my opinion.
Awesome.
I also would like to tell that this kind of players that gives names to the miniatures, the way the battle report was written, pretty epic, really.
Yeah.
Also, the concept of Operation Raven, and many factions at some point they coordinated their efforts in the forums and decided to deliver operations. It's like we all together. This day we play the same missions to report. A lot of reports in that moment. And that is an operation, really.
So it became miniaturized campaigns within that. Everybody's going, we're working together.
It was the beauty of the briefing room. So the briefing rooms are very much an in-character environment. Okay, you were able to go in there, and each faction kind of had its own kind of high command that was trying to strategically work out what was happening on the island, and they were able to basically say to the players in that faction, we need to do this or we need to do that, and it was fabulous watching it all come together.
Yeah, if you were involved, I'm really concerned about the theater in the campaign, and suddenly the enemy reports a ton of reports, boom, and then changes the whole dominance of the area. That was super funny to enjoy. Yeah. There was an achievement here, the Storm at the Gates by Narcano, who played with Panoceania.
Let's bring up the map here. Sorry, not the map, the
profile of the
profile. So this was Narcano, and Narcano achieved the Stormed at the Gates. He's a Panoceania player, and it's interesting because he achieved it in Scallion, but the bulk of his effort certainly went to Sagres and Oranda. So well done to you, Narcano. Okay, let's have a look at the chart. Okay, so let's see if we've got the right one. Yeah, so Mount Scallion. Okay, so here we are. We can see that there was some initial advantage for the Aleph, for the Combined, and for Panoceania. However, you can see that only one faction really made the effort there, and that was Panoceania. Now look, Panoceania clearly had the advantage of numbers in this campaign. They seem to bring and recruit a lot more players into the campaign.
Yeah, but everyone else in this sort of this seemed to be quiet for everybody else. It just seemed to go to sleep.
Well, I think what you had was a few token gestures towards the end. But let's see what the AI historian made of it. Okay.
Well, once we remove the initial points, it's obviously that Pano. Pano care about the position. It's the south of Flamia anyway. I mean, it belongs to Pano.
There was never any chance that Pano were going to let that fall.
No, it's important for them.
Okay. Now we come to Naruma.
Yeah. Now is the moment to talk about. So
let me just show you. Naruma is right here. Okay. So it's the advanced medical complex. It was very, very heavily contested, this one. Right. So you can have a look. You can see the battles that were fought in this. I believe that we had alliances in Naruma as well. So if you scroll down, okay, we had a single alliance between Toha and Ariadna. The alliance was in good health towards the end there. You were never in any danger of blue on blue breaking that alliance.
Now, see, that was a feature I quite liked, was that if you had alliance forces fighting each other, you could actually work it that you actually break your alliance because you've been fighting each other.
It's probably worth explaining alliances now, because alliances were something that was requested during the campaign. So we had to kind of put all of our minds and resources together in here to build some alliance functionality. And the way we had it was you agreed an alliance. We had the opportunity to give you the opportunity to create one alliance with one faction in one theater. We had to put limitations on it, otherwise you would have had alliances confusing things all over, and it really forced you to choose strategically where the alliance would have most effect. Once the alliance was in place, we monitored blue on blue battles, so either battles taking place within the same faction or battles taking place within the two factions that had the alliance, and any that were recorded gradually would tick down the health of your alliance. And once it would reach into the red, bang, alliance over, never to be reformed. However, you were all very well behaved. So, right, let's talk about the reports.
We can take a look at the real data from Naruma.
Well, do you want to talk about the reports first?
Yeah, but I would like to portray how intense this was between
live data
Yu
then.
Qing and Ariadna, because look at that. Look at that. That is what I wanted to show you, really. I mean, that is intense, okay?
So that's Toha and Yu Qing.
Toha and Yu Qing fighting each other. I would like to highlight the asbestos report. This hospital belongs to Hack Islam by Sko, a Hack Islam player, against Goose, a Toha player. As an epic moment, he narrates that
the table is beautiful.
Yeah, and very easy to understand those graphics. I really encourage you guys to make these quality reports. It's lovely. At some point, the Hack Islam player brought Dailamis, which are not the most efficient troops, into the table, but they delivered the most devastating role there. I mean, they both infiltrated successfully, and they killed a Toha fire team and a very dangerous Chaksa within Shenji. I mean, when Dailami behaves like that, just costing 7 points, being irregular, is like heaven totally. A second report that I would like to highlight here is Tartar de Shifang by Hulburts or Julburts, a Hack Islam player, once again, that was playing against Spikes, a Yu Qing player. The epic moment, in my opinion, after reading all the report, a really heroic Gilan with a sniper rifle did behave as a deadly dominating ARO troop. He killed a Comb Rider, he killed a Mutawiya, which are easy pieces, okay, but he killed an Azrael with MCNG, which is a badass, huge armor. The Hack Islam troop had to combine their skills to develop a smoke combo to kill him, and a Hunsakut delivered the coup de grace to finish him and score objective points. So, really, while reading the report, the ARO Gilan was deadly, and the Hack Islam player had to adapt to that and really build a combo to kill him.
Fantastic work, guys. Right, we also had a number of unlocks of Held the Line and Stormed the Gates in this one. So Held the Line, we had Yu Jing hold it by
Hurtado Inmortal, Spanish player.
Get in contact with us.
Enhorabuena.
And Toha we had Vanther. So again, get in contact with us. And then Stormed the Gates. These were the guys who managed to take it, at least for a while. For Yu Jing, we had Thane Drake. For Toha, we had Skurd. And for Toha, we had Marine Cat. Well played.
As you can see, 5 achievements here. Yu Qing, Toha, Yu Qing, Toha. A very intense theater.
All 5 of you, please get in contact with us. Right.
Yeah.
Let's look at the results, okay? So, this is the live results, okay, of points scored over time. So we had Toha versus Yu Jing. Toha ultimately managed to take it, and Yu Jing were very, very close, right up until the latter part of the actual campaign. Let's see what happened once the AI historians got their way. That tells a different story, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yu Qing #1, propaganda for the win.
This is a classic example of propaganda and the effect that it could potentially have had. Again, it didn't change the result, but the effect that it could have had. If you just flick back and forth between them. So this was the live one here. Look how many times that Yu Jing looked like they had overtaken Toha. You go back to the first one, yeah? At any point, Toha could well have decided to give up, but Toha didn't. Toha fought and fought and fought. And then when the AI historians got a hold of this, you guys had fought much harder than maybe you realized at the time. Look at this dip in the middle where Yu Jing's real battles started to crumble. Desperation started to set in for Yu Jing by the looks of it at this point, because if we look at it in the live results, yeah, it's interesting. Yu Jing may have thought there's a little spike here. And let me just bring this little spike just about here. Look at this one. Yu Jing may have started to think, oh, we've got this, and then go to the AI historians. That spike was not as powerful as you might think. So
it is there.
It is there, but it's not. There. It's not quite as decisive as what it could be.
I can tell you that we were trying to win the whole campaign. The Toha just decided, because they were less players, just to defend their position, and they focused totally on Naruma. They did a well job because they were less players than the Yuqing. The Yuqing coordinated their efforts very well, but some of those efforts were unnoticed for the AI historian.
Too much propaganda.
Too much propaganda.
Not enough fight. Okay, let's talk about Onza. Okay, so Onza, where is Onza? Onza out here on the island. It's the government headquarters.
One of the late unlocked scenarios. Well, I would like to point out at the best report here the number 1% by Vowels, a Yuqing player that was fighting, this guy, Admiral JCJF from Pano.
So Vol C from Yujing and Admiral JCJF, Panosiana. Okay, let's get a look at the report.
An epic moment that I would like to highlight from this report was that a Swiss Guard hacker audaciously moved into the center of the field, killing Quanxis with his shock ammunition, and the Quanxi later managed to kill this elite troop. A Swiss Guard hacker is a totally elite troop. It's a heavy armor with TO camo, with all the stuff, and Quanxis are very cheap troops with chain rifle, and they are crazy. So that will be really the moment of the battle, because one single expensive troop killing a lot of very cheap troops, but they finally overcome the guy and kill him with a lot of luck, I suppose, because that will be very difficult. So that is the epic moment from this battle here.
We had another battle. This is the aliens heads to the government HQ.
By Tanagar, a combined army player, against Hur Jackal, a Pano player. The epic moment here, in my opinion, the impression that I had from reading the report is that a Noctifer, a TO camo Shashbasti troop, revealed itself using his firepower of his missile launcher to kill a Father Knight hacker, freeing the Umbra from the possible human heavy infantry menace. So that had to be awesome. I mean, popping out from TO camo, shooting a missile and destroying one of the most dangerous elite troops from Pano.
Okay, we had no unlocks of any of the two major achievements that we had there. So let's go on and look at the results. So this is for Onza. So Onza, we can see there was a Hack Islam lead along with Yujing, and Hack Islam got stuck in just around the same time as Yujing. Neither of those two factions wanted to lose this, and they contested it. Hack Islam fairly in the lead, but look at that spike at the end from Yujing. They did not give up. However, let's see if any propaganda came to play in this one. Ooh!
No, not really.
Not really, because we're removing the initial results that are for free, so both lines fell.
Have a look at the difference. Look at the gap, right? The gap is actually a little bit closer towards the end. So it's the gap between the two factions. Also, you can see a big spike there from Hack Islam, and then the gap, it narrowed slightly, but it shows that Yujing were actually doing a lot less propaganda in this theater than they did in the previous theater.
Yeah, because both lines get together once you get the initial points that Hack Islam got at the beginning. Yeah.
So it's quite interesting, that, isn't it? Okay. So no change to the overall result in Onza. Okay, let's talk about Sagres. Sagres
South
is
of the island.
There we go, right at the bottom. It was the orbital tracking station. It was Pano. Pano were desperate to retain this. Okay, let's talk a little bit about a couple of the battle reports.
Best report: a touch of Zen, a ton of bullets by Mick Rebel with nomads against Sam 2064 JSA, obviously a Yuqing player.
Yes, absolutely.
Epic moment. Well, in my opinion, this battle report doesn't have very powerful visuals, but the narrative of it is lovely. In my opinion, he almost built like a novel there, and that's really worth reading, guys.
Okay, we also had Last Stand at Sagres.
Svalarheima defense.
What does that mean?
Svalarheima is one of the planets, a different planet here.
Okay.
This was played and reported by Guerrilla Miniature Games Ash Barker, a guy who has a lovely YouTube channel, really with a lot of battle reports. He was playing with Pano, and he was playing against Derek, who was playing with the Combined Army. You can follow the whole battle, is in a video on YouTube. Epic moment, in my opinion, a drone bot bulleteer rushed towards the enemy deployment zone and totally ignored always useful Ica drone batteries with 2 flamethrowers. So at some point, the Ica drone flamed the remote and totally destroyed it. You can follow, the whole battle is in video, guys. It's super easy to read.
Okay, for Sagres, we didn't have any major unlocks either. So let's take a look at the chart. So this is the live chart of points scored over time. Sagres opened at the start.
Totally Pano since the beginning.
The only ones that came close to challenging Pano were the combined army. And you can start to see where it flatlines, where combined decided that their focus started to have to shift elsewhere. So you can see around the midpoint as the campaign started to evolve elsewhere, where combined army actually started with bigger forces in those theaters. You can see where combined army started to move off this and decide that this was no longer worth contesting. Let's, however, see what the AI historians made of it.
Ooh, that came a lot closer.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it became a much stronger
And no big change
win.
here,
Yeah,
really. This was no propaganda here. I can see the thing.
So if we flick back and forth, you can see...
You can see where combined army came pretty close. And then when we go to the final historian results, that looks closer to me.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a difficult one to read. There was certainly a point where it was close, and maybe just a little bit closer than what it is. Look at the left, though. Okay, do you see the major change in the left? So go back to the live one.
Yeah.
Right. So Aleph in third place.
Totally,
right?
And then totally out of the thing.
So how much propaganda were they pumping into this area? Because suddenly they disappeared into the throne.
It's the AI. He can manipulate all kind of numbers.
So interesting that Aleph were pumping a lot of propaganda into that theater. Okay.
Tianxian.
Right, so Tianxian on the map over here, nomads, okay, are controlling Tianxian.
Yeah, best report against all odds by Yichang, who was playing with nomads, against Aatu, who was playing with combined army. Epic moment, in the second turn, Kornak, a Morad hero, exterminates half of the enemy army.
Yeah.
Sometimes in face-to-face rolls with really low chances, and he won. So it was totally demoralizing for the nomad player. The second best report. Well, look at that.
Yeah.
The second best report that I would like to highlight is virus bombs over Tianxian by Gunhammer, who was playing with nomads, against Whiskey Jack, who was playing with the combined army. This was written in a very narrative, novel-like style. It was lovely to read. At some point, he tells you that the Reverend Custodier Isidora, who was the lieutenant, felt overconfident and paid the price with an unexpected shot to the face. And the young Alguacil who was next to her shout, "The lieutenant is down!" as he frantically tried to clear the blood out of his eyes. Lovely stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful. Again, that's what this has been all about, guys. Just giving you an opportunity to put some amazing narratives and photographs and things like that there, and it's been an absolute pleasure to watch it unfold. We had the Nomads fought very hard and held the line twice during the battle in Tianjin. First time was by Magno. Well done, Magno. Please get in contact, mate, for a prize.
Yeah, Magno.
And Santanel from Nomads as well. Again, please. Come on over to bc4.com.
I will repeat that. Sataniel.
Sataniel, of course.
I don't know if it's a Spanish player, so he was not confused.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Magno.
Well done, guys. Well done. Okay, so let's look at the results. Okay.
Oh,
so
the Nomads won here, obviously.
Yeah. So Nomads, you never really looked like you were in any doubt of holding control of that against the Hack Islam. Hack Islam just kind of seemed to struggle all the way along. Yeah. Let's put the AI historians in place till we see what happened.
Oh!
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 What? What?
Oh!
Really? Really, Nomads?
Ow!
Right.
My ears!
Okay. Now this changes things. So this is our first change of hands. So just how much propaganda was in place?
So different.
Yeah, absolutely What can you say? Well, congratulations, Haq Islam.
Congratulations, Haq Islam, for fighting fairly.
Yeah. There seems to have been quite early on from Nomads, a certain amount of disinformation has crept in.
Yeah.
While the Haq Islam guys have, in around the midpoint there, actually submitted battles that really did validate well. But it's interesting because Haq Islam, if you go, did give up. They started to flatline. When they thought that they had lost, they actually started to flatline. But at that point, you actually were in the lead.
Something happened
and they got far enough in the lead that Nomads couldn't pick it up again.
Well, Nomads must have been fairly certain of their overall control of that theater.
By the end of March, beginning of April, the whole thing changed. The dominion of Haq Islam became the thing here.
It's really, really interesting. It's really interesting. And it's worth pointing out, okay, we don't like cheating, okay? We don't like cheating. But let's be honest, we're effectively powerless to stop it at times. But it's interesting for Nomads, had your cheating worked early and you had dispirited, go back to the chart. If your cheating had worked early, right, and you had dispirited Haq Islam, who fought at this point, they fought very, very hard. Go back to so if they hadn't continued to fight and you had started to put in, the battles that were able to validate, who knows what might have happened there.
But I mean, like when Haq Islam gave up, Nomads were still pushing, and they almost got it.
You can absolutely see at the end, the final push from Nomads, because we know the Nomads went back into the briefing rooms and really went to town on organizing themselves to try and do final pushes.
Probably to avoid any last-minute surprises. Probably not, because the last days of the campaign really have the operations coordinated there. So
there you have it. So Changjiang actually did have a different result according to the AI historians. Well done, Haq Islam.
And the last of all the theaters, the most disputed, the theater that had most battles played in is the Zhurong power plant at the north of Flamy Island.
Okay, so Zhurong up there. Zhurong was like a butcher's shop. It was incredible. So here we have Zhurong. You can see that we had alliances at play in Zhurong. We had two alliances. So we had the
Yuqing and
Aleph and Yujing. You can see there the solid agreement actually starting to deteriorate a little bit. And then we also had the Nomads and Haq Islam, and it was very tight.
Glad to know they solved the difference in Tianxian to get agreeing.
Well, actually, we'll talk about it at the end. But we were actually really pleased with the alliances that were formed, and Gautier. We'll talk about that towards the end. Okay? Right. Let's pick our best battle report. One of the ones that we liked, Rattlesnake.
Rattlesnake by Sairin Barakat, a Haq Islam player that was fighting against a Nomad Reaper, a Nomad player. Something that was really lovely from this, all the Haq Islam faction here was all females, and all the miniatures have names on them. Look at the first image of the battle report, and you will see like a point out of every female, and it was written in a very I don't know. It felt like an anime episode to me, really. The epic moment here, I'm quoting here: slowly but purposefully, Ravina Rowe walked towards the door of the storeroom and Neil raising Saitama, her missile launcher. Killer serious punch, she said, squeezing the trigger and sending one missile that hit the Sin Eater straight in the chest. It's very difficult to hit a Sin Eater with one single missile when he's ARO probably with 4 dice. So that is a very epic moment in my opinion.
Awesome.
And I in my head this looks like anime with lovely girls and stuff. The second best report that I would like to highlight here is an Spanish and English also report. Fisan's Emperor Sunset 2, because this was the sequel, by Hurtado Inmortal, a Yuqing player, a Spanish Yuqing player that had an achievement there, against Siempre Bestia, a combined army player. The epic moment, in my opinion, here was that two Morats, a Rodok and a Kurgat with Mark 12, were able to hold position in the objective room.
Yeah.
One last turn against a fire team of Imperial agents charging against them. That was the victory moment. The Morats were able to hold position. It's very difficult to really hold a room in the last turn, and these guys made it.
Awesome. Right, we had 2 unlocks of Storm the Gates. One from a Yujing player and one from a Nomad player. So Bituman for Yujing, get in touch, and Quigek, Q-U-G-G-E-Q, get in contact with us, please. Come on over to beastofwar.com. We want to send you a prize.
Bituman, I guess he's a Spanish player, I will say it like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Now let's have a look at this one, okay? Because Yujing and Nomads absolutely fought tooth and nail over this, okay?
Yeah, but so we know the Nomads are a bit cheating. So.
Well, we do know that the Nomads like to spit their propaganda. So
probably hacker misinformation.
I'm nearly afraid to look at the AI historians on this one to see what propaganda the Nomads.
It's kind of like a Band-Aid. You kind of just need to rip it off and get it over with.
Okay, right. Well, wait. So let's look at this, okay? Yujing got off to a very good start, and it took Nomads a little bit of time to actually wake up.
Yujing number 1, chosen by the gods to win in Shurong.
So anyway, Yujing went for it. Nomads took a little bit of time to wake up. Nobody else really came into play in Zhurong. But let's see how the historians got off after they started to work out what actually took place.
So embarrassing. So embarrassing.
Wow. So hang on. On the live, whenever we first see that switch and then that switch back.
Yes.
That was propaganda right there.
It was pure propaganda.
Oh my god.
It was pure, utter propaganda.
Switch, and the Nomads ran with it.
Look at the difference in the gap at the end, right? So even those final reports that were being pumped in by Yujing, but look at the difference. Look at the difference. It flatlines.
Oh my god.
It absolutely flatlines. It was like none of it existed.
Yeah. I cannot look at oh my god.
Are you ashamed, Carlos?
Please, shut down the camera. Please, shut this down. I'm quitting. Oh my god.
So here we have 2 factions that have now both become renowned as propagandists, along with the Aleph, who are propagandists as well.
Only not quite so good.
This is a turn up for the books.
Yeah.
So Nomads, you managed to lose one of the theaters, but now you've managed to retake another one of the theaters, and Yujing, head held in hands, guys, held in hands. If you're gonna do the propaganda, you have to make sure that you put in the real work as well, because otherwise history just doesn't care about you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so can I get a question here, Warren?
Look at this face!
Yeah.
I can tell you now that he was active in the Yujing briefing rooms, inspiring them as a true general. We can do this. We are going to win. When the campaign ended, all these memes started coming out on Facebook of Yujing are the best. Yujing are the best.
Because Yujing is the best.
The best of propaganda.
So there we have it.
So embarrassing.
When the alliances came into play, let me give you some final points just on the alliance. So the alliance between the Aleph and Yujing in the live site had 920 points. The alliance between the Hak-Islam and Nomads in the live scenario had 841. However, when the AI historians were finished, Aleph and Yujing dropped.
Like 400 points dropped.
Yeah, dropped to 578 points. And the alliance in effect for Hak-Islam and Nomads dropped to 690 points. So the Hak-Islam Nomads alliance, as well as Nomads winning it, the Hak-Islam Nomads alliance also won it as well. Lovely. And that wraps up our look at each of the theaters. Let me give you some final results. Okay, so overall on the live site. Okay, so in the live scenario before the AI historians got into their swing, Aleph had 1,379 points. Ariadne, 1,716 points. Combined Army, 1,454 points. Hak Islam, 1,340 points. Nomads, 2,079 points. Panoceana, 2,165 points. Toha, 1,049 points. And Yujing, 2,201 points. Yujing were the winners.
Yeah.
But
Eugene number one, we won. We won.
But whoa, wait.
Oh,
Because now we have the historian's view on things. So let's see what happened
Eugene
here.
number one.
Okay. So Aleph, 799 points. Ariadna, 1,438 points. Aleph, you really were going for the propaganda thing, weren't you?
I don't know. There's some people here
Like
that look
half
at
your
harder
points,
for.
guys, okay? Combined army, 900 points. Hak Islam, 1,111 points. There's a synchronicity there, guys. Well done. 1-1-1-1. Let's see, Toha. I'm going to come back to our final three. Toha, 786 points. Okay. Where do we go with this?
Start with Nomads.
Right. Nomads, 1,517 points. Panoceana, 1,790 points. Yujing,
Can they win?
1,502 points. Third place.
I demand
Recount?
No, I don't know. Recount.
So they have went from being the winner to actually dropping back into third place, just a handful of points behind Nomads. We did run it countless times just to be sure, guys, and it is what it is.
It's a 700 drop.
Yeah, congratulations to Panoceana.
Panoceana.
Points-wise, you were the winners of the campaign. It doesn't mean very much because obviously so much happened in the campaign that the writers, Gautier and whatnot, are going to be writing up a whole interesting new future for how Flamia affects things and what happened on Flamia. Let's look at the actual map. So this was our live map. Okay, let's change it to see what actually changed. And there we go. You can see your two changes in both Zhurong and Tianjin.
So even just looking at the map, the true winner of Operation Flamestrike is Pano with 3 theaters and the overall results much more than anyone else.
Yeah. Now, in future campaigns, now we have a better handle on army sizes and stuff like that. We'll be doing all sorts of interesting things because we know that you guys in Paneo had a numbers advantage. But do you know what? To be fair, you guys also worked very hard in recruiting players because we saw your Facebook posts and your campaign posters and things like that you put out to try and draw players in. So, you know, well played. I would just like to mention the most commended members of Panoceana.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are the heroes of Panoceana.
Yeah, especially the first one. I mean,
Admiral JCJF, 630 commendations.
This guy played, I don't know how many battles, I don't know how many reports. He was always top on every ranking. The guy, the time involvement of this person in the campaign is humbling, really.
Yeah, he was a great guy. He was also a liaison for that faction and helped us immensely in the background.
The second guy also put a lot.
Louis Joy, or 423 commendations. Also worked really hard. We then had the Guerrilla Games Ash Barker 92, W English 86, and Sideswipe 78. You are the top commanders of the top faction in Operation Flamestrike. So congratulations, guys. It's worth mentioning who the top commanders were across all of the factions. Okay, so for Aleph, congratulations, Silverin, 163 commendations. Ariadna was Cabaret, 268 commendations. Remember, commendations were something you guys awarded, not us. For combined army, it was Chaldez,
Tom Shadle,
for 271 commendations. Hak Islam, the poor man, at 289 commendations. For Nomads, congratulations to Nazroth, the very pretty guy that we saw earlier on with a very handsome
beard. The beard.
196 commendations. And then for Pano, as we've already said, it was Admiral JCJF with 630 commendations. For Toha, Nasikato, 227 commendations, and for Yu Jing, it was Sergeant Hulka, 185 commendations. That ping that you hear tells us that we are now reached the end of this broadcast. Guys, thank you so much. It's been an amazing experience watching you battle over Flamia. We hope that you're not too butthurt over the results.
I am expecting major flame wars from you.
Remember, it's a campaign. Ultimately, it's just for fun.
I would like also to thank you guys for delivering the campaign the way you did. It was an excellent experience, and I enjoyed both as the guy from Infinity and also as a player. It was great. The forums, the message boards, everything was great. Everybody was role-playing the faction. I had a huge, lovely experience with this. So thank you guys.
Oh, it was our pleasure. Now, remember, now that the campaign's over, it's over to Gutier and the writing team. So all of the results have been delivered to them. Also, we asked the faction liaisons to get back to you guys to create your own timelines of events from your perspective. All of that has been fed back. Gutier seems to be liking what he has seen. It fits the fluff generally with what we've seen.
The behavior of the players and the alliances that were made really fit the fluff. Nothing was, Aleph and Nomads, for example, becoming allies, something like that.
Or Aleph and combined army.
I know that Gutier was afraid of that happening. So now we have to collect all this data and swallow in Covus Belli, and Gutier has to assimilate all this information, all these heroic moments, all these commanders, and then deliver a piece of fluff that will come in the next book. So I hope that everybody has had a great time doing this, and we'll try to make it count, really.
Absolutely. Guys, look, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to have shared this experience with you. It's been great. We'll be working on this in the meantime, so until the next campaign, go and have some fun, or at least go and have a rest. Okay, see you soon.